Do you want to know how a setup session goes with a good friend of mine? I'm explaining him car setups in this coaching session that I did with him. Now, normally my videos go very much into this step, take that step, and those still apply on very short and compromises to understand setup. But if you want to see what's behind the scenes and all the work that goes into it, all this like small knowledge things that I can never cover in a fast video will be covered here. So I'm basically guiding you say into car setups, explaining different philosophies, explaining different quirks of the game, how it's currently going. I would suggest to take this on as some sort of a podcast when you're chilling back, laid back, or just relaxing a little bit. Then you can really get some gems in here that might help your own car setup and build process. So yeah, let's get into it. So the idea when building a car setup, right? You want different things from a setup. You want it to be fast, you want it to be safe. What for me is always a big question mark, especially if I don't know the car, right? Because you have this blank slate, you have the car, you have all these settings. So how do you get most out of it, right? Where do you start?
Correct.
Because like when you go in game, the car will have a preset, a default setup that the game will give you, and that might give you some clues. But for me, it was always a big question if like the rear wing and the top speed of the car needs to be as high as possible without being slow in corners, right? And
Correct.
for me to figure out because in ACC, for instance, there are cars when you take off the wing, you don't gain top speed, you lose in corners, and overall you're always better off with a high wing, for instance. But the only way to figure that out is to make setups with different wing heights. So you can test those on Spa, and on Spa you got so much like different corners to kind of fail safe your car setup for every other track. So for instance, if you would make a setup for Imola or whatever track, there's always some situation missing, and on Spa I believe we have the most scenarios. The only corner Spa doesn't have is a long ever entering and slowing down corner, like I don't know the track Suzuka. Do you know that track?
Yes.
So the entry of Suzuka, that's the only corner Spa doesn't have. So if this game would have Suzuka, that would be a corner to approach as well. Like how it's gonna act over there. So a little bit of this is a little bit of the basic. Now I wanted you to drive this level 1 setup. And did you drive this one?
Yes. So what I did is I drove that a few times. I couldn't take El Rouge. I couldn't take El Rouge flat out. I kept having a lift.
Yeah.
Car was understeery. And you know, but it was safe. I didn't wasn't spinning out. I was slow as heck, but I wasn't spinning out. I was on a track the whole entire time. What I did do though, from our last discussion months ago, or say March, I think it was. Yeah. For the ACC discussion of car setups. So I looked at that methodology that you had. Yeah. And I was like, well, that concept has to translate a little bit. And I know I'm going off of LMU right now. Going off, off track a little bit. So I looked at what you had provided from that training, and I'm like, well, if I raise the wing, the highest setting, and then I started increasing my ride height, and then I was able to almost take El Rouge flat out. Yeah. I was getting close. Yeah. But then I had to lower my front ride height because it was getting kind of twitchy. Yeah, exactly. And in like I'm going to
like the thing is with all this setup stuff, you got like ride heights. We need to start out with ride height. So we're gonna open up that level 1, and to look at level 1 and you go to the suspension screen, right? So you get like manage setups, powertrain. So you go to manage setup, load up that 1.1, and you look at that suspension screen. Air Rouge and Blanchiment, yeah, you know these corners, right?
Yes.
So these corners, they are crazy fast, but they also don't carry a lot of acceleration. You know, the car is accelerating, yes, but there's not a lot of it left because it's like such a high speed. The car is not accelerating that much anymore. With Motec and other tools, we can figure out if the suspension travel is all the way up on the bump stop. So you can see that on Formula 1 cars, when you have high speed, these cars just start lowering down, and then they hit the brakes and you see the suspension wheels, you see the wheels drop all of a sudden, you know, and this is like these Formula 1 cars really like ride height control. So when you're on Spa, on Air Rouge and Blanchiment, you got ride height, the predominant influencer of how the car's gonna act in that situation. Because we're not accelerating and it's high speed. So you need to think about the suspension travel is kind of gone and it's full on the end of suspension travel, and that's the ride height. It ends up with ride height. So I will have I'm gonna scroll like this all red, you know, this still needs to be edited and stuff, but I will show a graphic here. I will use this, by the way. We're gonna talk about this a little bit, and we're gonna talk about the ride height. So this is just an example, but we're talking about like a ride height change is gonna have a massive effect, and some suspension stiffness or softness can have also a great effect. And let's say the TC settings and camber will have almost no effect on this type of corner behavior. So if we go to the first step, we want to have these corners, Rouge, Radion, Blanchiment, and the this is called Paul Ferre, but these names are not proper. I still need to find the proper graphic for this one. So
Blanchiment is the C anyways, correct? I think that's what when I'm using Trophy AI when I'm going through the corners, I think that's what it calls it.
Okay, yeah, well, we can like, let's say
we'll just call it C.
Yeah,
because that's what you have it under.
Yeah,
we'll call it C.
So we can set ride heights to make the car rotate a certain way. So, but the thing is with setups, you need to obviously. You did increase the ride height, so let's say you added a centimeter and you go out and track as well, and I suggest you do that. So you already know this is going to be very understeery, and you'll add a centimeter to it and just go out on track again until the point where it's too sketchy, and then we can go to another step. We can change something else, right? So I suggest you do that, and I will follow you. When this is with the front ride height, really important. If you hear the car, the floor of the car hit the tarmac, then you are too low on the ride heights, right?
Okay.
So that is also. So you still have some understeer, I saw. Okay,
well, I did lift because right now I have cold tire. Or no, we have tire warmers on, right?
Yes, we have.
Not for being able to make this work. I know our schedule's been really crazy.
No, it's I think it's important as well, you know, for like you're reaching out, and I also need to work on feedback real time. You know, I can make a video and explain everything as best as I can, but then people might still have questions or things are unclear. Okay, so the car
I was forcing that.
The car, yeah. So The thing is, you still don't have enough, right? There's just this, and it's not only on the fast corners. You can also see it on different corners. So let's do one more time Eau Rouge and be a little bit more gentle on the throttle, maybe when you enter.
Okay.
I think you're trail braking really nicely, though.
I appreciate that because I don't think I am.
Now, well, you're bleeding
I'm trying
off.
to get...
You know, you bleed off. So that's the motion is there. You know, Now I didn't see. Did you lift?
Yes.
A little bit.
Very little.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm getting used to a whole new setup. So I'm on my SimMagic setup.
Yeah.
So I can feel lockups too, which is nice. I could never feel that before.
Oh, you got like active pedals as well?
I have the haptics.
Oh, nice.
I have the P2000s with the SimMagic haptics.
Nice. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I have the same one.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, it's like
they're amazing.
You know what the best thing about the haptic is? I will explain to you with the next changes we'll make.
Okay.
So let's do Puhan one more time. All right. Just go back to the pit.
Okay.
If you like this content, could you please hit that like button? That really helps me out. And also, if you're interested in skill level setups, those are in the link down below. Quite some people have already purchased them. I want to really thank you for doing that. And I will continue to update these the rest of the year. So also check out the packs every now and then. But there will also be newsletters that I will bring you updated on the updates that I bring to those packs. Let's continue. Looking at this screen right now, like now you have like 3.3 centimeters of rake. Now, this is something you want to look at when you hover over the screens. We're unlocking ride heights for you. Later, when you're, let's say we're also going to make changes on springs. We're going to make changes on packers. Next time you're in a car setup screen like this one and you see, geez, I have 4 centimeters of rake on this car. That already gives you a clue of what to expect or what the car needs, right? If you do lots of setup changes over time, like nothing makes sense. And then at some point, everything starts to be a holistic system. And it's very like a guy, an esporter as well knows, oh, I got this slider needs to be up. Oh, this is too high. This is too low. That you will shortcut a lot at some point. But
yes, once I get used to understanding the nomenclature of everything and understanding what things actually do when you adjust it.
Yes. So now you do another, like we increase the rake, the rear ride height with another 10 centimeters. Let's go out again and see what happens.
Okay, so question before I move forward.
Yes.
All right, so I go out, right, and then we need to make an adjustment. So when I come back in, I still have to reload it and then increase this again.
Yes.
So am I able to, in a sense, basically hit save setup and then just, that's what I did here, just put my initials so that way it saves, in a sense, air quotes, the new setup? Can you do that or no?
So, what I do normally, let's say I would change up this 1.1 and I'll give that an extra 20. A habit to get into is to save that immediately and add like a number to it, you know, like we're on step 1, for instance, step 1.
The one, yeah.
You know?
Or actually it would be step point. So right there. Actually, this would be the second one because the 1.1. Yeah,
so this already so you could say like the other change was 1. Now it's maybe becoming 1.2 or something, or 1.1, whatever, and then you save it, and then when you go, let's say you save that, and then when you do your lap and you try some stuff, then you need to load that step 1 again, and then you make other changes and call it 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, or the second step. That's how I would do it.
Okay, so Oh, still load off of this one?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying? Or
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
can't I just load off of this one by making changes to this?
Yeah. So and this is broken, by the way. I expect they're gonna fix this
Okay.
at some point because. But that's the thing.
Okay.
Also, that's also the thing with this game. I have a feeling they're gonna change this tire model or make an aerodynamic change because this changes you're making on the BMW right now. Let's say this car has now 3.3 centimeters of rake. This might be way too much for an Austin, right? So it's not a
Correct.
given that all the cars have different aerodynamic maps for its balance. It's kind of cool, I think.
I mean, yes, it is. And then it gives me the opportunity to practice and understand more. Because that's, to me, that's always been a thing, is trying to understand like how to do these setups.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I know how to make high downforce cars, but then in ACC, I'm comfortable
Yeah.
using your old system.
Yeah. It's a little bit of the.
I did lift.
Okay.
Did lift. I wasn't pushing it because just trying to get and then get my bearings together as well as far as getting used to this car.
How does these corners feel now?
They still feel like I have to really turn.
Yeah.
So basically, a little understeer, not too much. Because I'm trying to get used to driving oversteer cars.
Well, the thing is that when we introduce more and more oversteer, the cars can become very like
Finicky.
unforgiving, and it ends everything. You know.
Correct.
Because when you spin, you damage the tires too. So it's like,
that's a cool thing about this game.
It makes it even worse afterwards. So if you're already struggling with your aggressive setup, then when you spin it, you're gonna have a harder time even.
Yes, because I didn't realize, like, when I first was playing this, and I kept locking up my brakes over and over and over again, and then by like lap, I don't know, 12 or 13,
Yeah.
because I didn't have my brakes set up properly yet. You could feel it. It was a
Yeah.
That was a lot better, but
Yeah.
that was my turn in.
Oh,
Try one more time, or
No,
go back to
that's
the
good.
pits?
We can stop and we go back to the to that screen. So a little bit of a mention here. You got all these tire temperatures and toe values and camber and all that stuff, right? So like real pros say, we need to have the temperatures. We need to have proper, like the tires need to be in the proper temperature, because if we make changes on cold tires, it doesn't make sense, right? Currently, the game doesn't have this issue. If you drive normally, so you're not overstressing the tires too much, and you're just driving your laps, the tires become in the perfect window, and there's nothing you can do about it at the moment. So it's something to look out for if the game continues to update. Obviously, we need to think about pressures. We need to think about a brake duct blanking, like how much air is going into the brakes, and it will radiate out through the rims and the tires. But that's not on our agenda today, because that just doesn't work in the game yet. So we're gonna ignore that as well for now, because it's not the case. If I will make, if that will be an influential thing, then I will make 3 newsletters about it, because then I will want to keep everybody. I want to like notify everybody for that, you know. So. Okay, good. Let's go.
I do have my tire temps right now. I'm 25.8, so left, right? Front left, 25.8, 25.1 to the right. The rear, 24.9 left, and then 24.8 right.
Okay,
Rear.
Okay,
So
yeah.
is there a target supposed to be?
The
Is there
target
supposed
is
to be a
like
target?
80.
80. So I'm in pounds.
Uh,
Oh,
what?
okay, I see. Oh, well, then technically I am in 80, right? Right here. 87, 87,
So
87.
if you look at my screen now, so there's like 76 or something. Can you see that?
Hold on, give me a second. Was it? Yes, I see. Oh, okay.
So
75.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the brakes, the bottom one. The bottom one are the brakes. And the top
Yes.
one, the middle one is the tire
It's-
temperature. So
Correct.
I'm not sure. I'm not
It's
changing.
dropped as it's dropping right now.
Yeah, it's because I'm standing
Because
still.
yeah, because you're standing still. So
Yeah.
yes, I'm just wanting to let you know I'm looking at the correct ones.
Yeah.
Do I adjust the ride height again? I'm assuming another 10 centimeters.
Well, there's something else I want to explain you now. So
Okay.
I'm going with the same changes as you. I figured that when we look at other stuff, like the front anti-roll bar and the rear anti-roll bar, okay, so just go there on the chassis and the aero. So obviously this setup baseline is very safe, right?
Yes.
And if you find yourself hitting almost the maximum ride heights and you're still not getting the behavior, then you're kind of outplayed on this slider, right? It's like it's not working.
Yes.
Like that's what you get.
Correct.
Like, it's not working. We're making these changes, but the car doesn't do it. Does not rotate on the fast corners, right? So
Correct.
obviously you can always max out a slider, but I don't know, it's for me also mentally like, okay, maximum, that's a lot. So obviously you can drop the front ride height. I have a good authority. You want to stay like 5.5, not lower. But there's something else you can do in the chassis aero. But first, before we go to another suspension change, I want to talk to you about the front anti-roll bar, right? Because the front anti-roll bar is the stiffness from the left and the right tire, how much they are being allowed to move to the left and to the like how they interact with each other. So what that means, because you have also understeer on entry, right? When you enter corners, you also get like, it's so safe, you know, you can use a little bit more of emotion. So if we go to this image, if you follow the screen. So
I'm watching your screen right now.
Yeah. So if it's now pretty stiff, it's on 7, right? What this does, it prevents the body from rolling, right? So the car now is more in the left situation. The outside tire, when the car is leaning in the corner, the outside tire will pick up most of the load, and the inside tire, we're cornering to the right here, yeah. So the weight is on this side of the car, and the inside tire is kind of blue. It's kind of not doing so much. So when we're lowering the front anti-roll bar, the inside tire helps the car to steer, and that is what we want. That's what we need pretty much over the whole track. So I want you to think about this ride heights being more rakey, and if it's not doing enough, you want to look at that anti-roll bar and think, hey, maybe I need to soften that up. So I think that's
makes sense.
So, but like to see this anti-roll bar, it's also going to affect every other corner. But now we're in this situation where you got so much like understeer. We need to like make some, how do you call it? Like desperate measures to get some rotation in that car. Gives you the car, when the car starts to roll more, it's going to influence the aerodynamics. We're not going to talk about it right now. I think it just creates overwhelm. But let's soften up that front anti-roll bar with, I don't know, put it on P3. So it was on 7, it was 4 clicks down. Softer just means more grip, and it might become a bit more lazy on your steering. So you might...
We'll see how it feels then.
Yeah. just go save it again and call it 1.2 or whatever.
3. All right.
Or 1.3.
Let's go here. Yeah, I think it's 1.3. Yeah. Okay.
So another thing about the front anti-roll bar, and obviously you could also reduce springs and anti-roll bar. It's kind of the same, but it also does aerodynamics changes. But let me just say this, that the front springs, the front anti-roll bar is a little bit of a nuancer or like an equalizer for brake bias. So you have the brake bias on your steering wheel. Can you adjust brake bias real time?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then I would say, yeah, that's awesome.
So yes, I can adjust my brake bias.
On steering wheel.
Pretty much everything's much everything's almost all mapped.
Good.
I don't have everything memorized, but I have ABS and
the most. Sure. Yeah. All right, let's hit track again. You should have now at least found some rotation.
Well, if you also need a guinea pig for anything, let me know.
Oh yeah.
Here.
Well,
I can hear to help.
Yeah, well, I'm looking into beta readers for that book, for that ebook.
Okay.
So there's need to be. I think it's important that it has some sort of a, like everything kind of is, it needs to be in beta first. That's kind of popular thing to do. So. So you got front tires now more. The inside tire every time when you corner will help you out more now. Still got.
I was actually not. I didn't lift though. I didn't.
Okay.
I'm gonna. We'll get around. I was flat out. I didn't lift at all. But that felt. And that could have been my entry though too. My line.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Yeah, is it going to be your driving or is it the setup, right?
Correct. But if I have a setup where I feel like I'm confident, then at least I can, you know.
Yeah, you can do it every time.
Make you try to. Yeah. Yes. Because I remember the first time I was able to do it in ACC after you and I spoke and me using the course you had.
Oh yeah.
I was so excited. I'm like, oh my god, that's the first time, flat out. And then I was just doing it, back. Yeah, it does feel a lot better.
It's improving, right?
I mean, yes. I'm not trying to push, but I'm just trying to.
Well, it's always
get the feel of the car.
Yeah, it's a good idea to drive within some margin, because then you can also feel the changes. If you're on the limit all the time, you have no clue, right? I think you need to be a bit more determined with that entry on Blasphemo. You really need to pick a point and say, now we're gonna turn it in. Because if you kind of wait and then I'm not sure and then I'm gonna turn it in, then you cannot make it. Even with that really good setup, you'll still understeer out of that corner. So it's kind of a difficult one. I think it could even be harder than El Rouge.
You see, like, I'm used to, and I have to get it out of my mind, all my breaking point references from Gran Turismo are not the same.
No. Almost there.
Yeah.
Almost there.
Lines are pretty similar, but braking references are not.
Yeah, it's also like this game, when you're cornering or when you're like trying to trail brake, these cars slow down a lot faster when you're on a dead-centered steering wheel, when you keep it dead-centered straight. As soon as you apply some steering angle, you're really losing out on braking performance.
Yes, and I have the habit of over braking. I'm working on, that's one of my bad habits that I'm working on trying to brake.
Yeah. So when you have the brake bias, start dropping that down a bunch. Like, I don't know where you have it on.
To the rear?
Yeah, you bring it
I
backwards.
have it on...
So the front number needs to
I have it on
drop.
51.
Yeah, okay, so the front number needs to drop to, let's say, do a drastic change. So a drastic change would be a couple of percent, so like 3%, like it's 48, now make it 48 on the front.
Okay, I think I have it at... Yeah, make it 40. Okay, it's at 48.
All right. I will tell you, if you have a stiff front anti-roll bar, this change is gonna be less noticeable when you brake. It's only for braking, so this doesn't help you in Bloximal, obviously. You know, no. Like I can't turn the car. Okay, drop the brake bias. Okay, good, and still have the understeer. Yeah, you're on throttle, obviously. Yeah, like that. You see, you're almost there, right? So that's like if you polish it up a bit, then
missed my braking point there, though. All right.
No issues. We're not doing lap time coaching. Yeah, I could say like no, but there are really fast people that can really do that really well.
Yeah, I'm not. Like, a lot of my friends are aliens, and I'm just like, here I am.
Well, they like some people are just talented. They start driving and they like, where others they need a bit more time, right? All right. I'm curious about like, do you like in the next corner section, if you feel that brake bias change as well?
Yeah, I was able to rotate a little bit, like, faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and carry more speed.
Yeah. So
I was carrying a lot more speed than I normally I was
just
before.
Go back to the pit, because we're not happy, are we?
No.
Okay.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
And
the best thing is about this currently how the car is and how the sim is, you have the tire blanket. You can immediately do it, right? You can immediately start and you can go very quickly inside and make a change and try again, right? And if you keep changing up a little bit of the same things, I would highly recommend to keep that ride height and that anti-roll bar just as these basic changes that you constantly are going to do, yeah, to make yourself really familiarize with these sliders first. So where's my mouse, bro? Okay, so I want to talk about a little bit of the changes we did and how that's affecting us. So I want to bring you to this page, right? So when you have your aerodynamics, the ride heights, are going to be this box, right? This box. And if you have a lot of ride height, then this box has a position forward, like this. And if you bring it even more forward, it's gonna be more like this. So this square box is kind of pulling the aerodynamic balance of the car. Now we already changed the... Sorry?
So make sure I understand. So the ride height basically controls the bigger box of where that's going to technically be placed.
Yes.
Okay.
When we are driving full throttle, this is going to fill up. Right?
Okay. This is equally balanced.
And yeah, so let's say this was a great balance, right? Now, if we slow down and we start braking, this box gets smaller because it's like let's imagine that the width of this box is representing more force, right? As smaller it gets, the less of an influence it is. So when we drive slowly, obviously we don't have a lot of aerodynamics, so it's becomes slower and smaller. So the ride height is the overall baseline. Now we're going to talk about that front packer a little bit. What the front packer does is, let's say you have this box, right? And you're braking on, let's say, 180 kilometers. This box shifts forward, right? And when you're on throttle, it shifts backwards. So when you're on throttle, you still have quite some understeer, right? So would it be good to have the baseline a bit more? So let's say this was the box. Let's say when we're driving fast, it is in the middle, kinda. It gets big and it's in the middle. But what if we brake in and we want a more like a shifting forward box? And that is the packer distance. So.
Oh, okay.
So imagine the packers, it makes out how long the suspension travel is going to be. So we can change with packers the rake, the dynamic rake. So we have the baseline rake, ride heights are...
Went pretty quick. I don't know if it matters, but... yeah, you're right. You're right. What's it for?
So, suspension.
Sorry about that.
To create more rake in the car without increasing the ride height, you can add packers on the rear axle.
Okay.
So when the car is dropping into its suspension on high speed, now it's kind of the same as doing this. But we're just robbing the rear tires of some suspension travel. That means when the car squats on the high speed, now it squats a centimeter less. So it will stand up, the back end of the car will be more up, and we'll have the aero box more on the forward position.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
It keeps that box. Yes.
It keeps
I'm trying to visually see it.
Yeah, and it's important to visually feel that. Know that this rear end is not allowed to squat that much anymore. It's going to be less. And it has two changes what this does. Decreasing suspension travel, so the rear tire, you adding a certain stiffness to the rear tires, and that will also rob them from mechanical grip. Now, I like to have very low packers as much as possible because they also help with acceleration. But I think this is a change we need because we just can't point the car where we want it to go. So the next change, because this will give you rotation more on the throttle. And it will also create some rotation on air rouge, which you're still missing.
Oh, plus 10. So go up a centimeter?
Yeah. And remove the front packers as well. Those ones we're going to remove. So they were like 0.7. We're going to completely take them away.
Okay.
No packers, like least amount of packers, is most suspension travel, is complementary to mechanical grip, and also it allows for even more aero shift forward under braking and under full throttle situation. So we're increasing rake in a way again, but not the static one, but the dynamic one. So let's say, let's go extreme here. What if I did this? If I do
Give me
this...
a second, but I'm saving
Oh, okay, yeah,
real
okay.
quick. Sorry. And I can go back. Now I can go back to you. All right, go for it.
So...
Just wanted to make sure I have the setup before.
Yeah. So if I did this, let's say I did this, right? 4 centimeters of packers. Now we're robbing the front of all suspension travel. And when we go back to this screen, now all of a sudden, on high speed, we remove all the way this part of the box. Now, when we're going faster and we have a lot of rear packers, the box moves backwards and stays here on the front. So we have rake reducing setup in a way. Can you still follow?
Yes.
But what we did...
And that's going to cause understeer then, correct? In a sense.
Oh, yes. But this is for a low downforce setup, a low wing setup, very complementary, because we need that, because we don't have that pressure on the rear wing. But first high downforce, okay? So what we did, however, we removed the back end and increasing the front one. So now when we're accelerating, the box goes like this. So
Okay.
I'm still thinking about how to explain this in a page. I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah, that's gonna. Yeah,
It's
that's gonna be.
it's
It's
worth
kind of one of
some,
those conversations we'll have. We should have with a group of people.
yeah. I'm still also kind of like how do you call it, tripping over my own explanation. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, because
yeah,
you're trying to figure out the best way
to explain it.
It's
Yeah.
gonna make sense to explain it. Yes.
Yeah. Go out again. You will have a rake increasing setup, so you got more dominance on the front axle with the front anti-roll bar softening with the ride height changes you did on the rear. Now you're adding packers on the rear and you remove them on the front. And I'm pretty confident you will find some proper rotation now in the car.
Oh yeah, I have more rotation.
You feel that?
I didn't even lift. Yeah, I didn't even lift. I just flat out have way more rotation.
And now it's gonna be interesting on this entry. If it's gonna be enough, or is it too much?
No, actually.
You can like feel like, oh man, I'm gonna win some lap time now, right?
I feel like I still struggle with that. I struggle with sector 2 no matter what.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you a little bit of that lines how to improve that a little bit in a minute.
Because even on, oh yeah, that's sketchy, but that's okay. I gotta get used to it, used to the car. Because even on GT7, that's where I'm the slowest. I'll literally sector 1. I'm literally close to the aliens. I'm off by like 3 or 4 tenths from the aliens. But then sector 2, I just lose everything.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a little bit more confidence there.
Yeah, so you can also feel that this front is just like now more I'm in control. I'm the boss here, you know, the front. You didn't even have to steer into that properly.
No. No, I have more confidence in a car now. I feel like it can.
I think the BMW. I even think it's a bit OP at the moment, because it's very like you get this behavior very quickly, with some changes that are guessing. We made some guesses, right? But other cars are really sensitive to this. So like a centimeter might be already way too much for some cars. Oh yeah, let's go. Nice.
Yeah, let's go.
Nice. Now we're overtaking some cars.
Finally.
Yeah, this corner you need to take that a little bit more. You need to be more patient with the left-hander. I
turn in.
Yeah, the turn in, and
So,
you need to be. So I can show you a lap. I'm obviously not an alien, but I try.
Oh, you're
to
faster
be,
than me.
I will try to be one day.
From what you can see, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree. So bad habit. I turned in too early. Hold on to the brakes too long. What's the other one?
Well,
turned in too early, brakes too long.
Maybe you're on the brakes too long, but then in other areas you're not braking enough. So
yes,
it's also a little bit of something needs to click. Yeah, I don't. It's just something you need to see at one time happening, and then you think, all right, that's how I need to do it. So I'll show you right now. I will be on the same setup, by the way.
Gran Turismo anytime soon.
No, but you cannot go back now. You're in too deep already.
Yep, that's why. That's why.
So,
And now I have iRacing now too. I just bought that because it was on sale.
Did I? Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I'm always thinking about
It
it.
was on
So
sale.
it's not
It's
saying it.
$70 for 2 years.
Yeah, I don't care so much about the years. I care about the tracks and cars. I think I want people to I know the setups and stuff, but I think I'm gonna be even more niched. I'm gonna stick to 3D3s in every sim. I will not pivot to.
And that's kind of where I want. I like ET3s. Like Group 3s are like my favorite cars.
Yeah. So.
Oh, you cut that a lot more than I do. Okay.
Yeah. So. Think about, and I'm gonna be doing it a bit slowly here, okay? So I can actually talk a little bit and drive at the same time. I'm a very early braker.
Are you braking at the curb?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm an early braker. You can do later, yeah? But what you want to do is you want to be all the way up here. Touch the brakes a little bit to get the rotation and do it like that. So you need to be way more on the inside.
Okay.
For this one, I do a straight line here, and I want to be on the most on the inside, and I don't want to run all the way wide here. I want to stay kind of here, then
In the middle.
and then when we're here, we also the acceleration from the previous corner to this one is actually way shorter than you think. It's only whoop, and then you already need to hitting those brakes, touching those brakes to again create rotation so we can actually have more rotation in the car. Like now we're standing like this, but we actually want to have the car positioned like this when we are here. Right? And we need to do that with the braking. Because on throttle, we'll understeer out of here when we try to accelerate. Something else that is really hurting your lap time, and a lot of people, I didn't see this. This is a video. This is a video, okay, Jose?
Yeah,
so,
I know. I know.
So if you're on throttle, exiting the corner, and you still need to rotate the car a little bit, you tend to steer a bit, right? We all do this, by the way.
Yes.
I'm not saying that I'm doing this perfectly or whatever, but when you do this, you can see in telemetry your car does not accelerate as fast as when you have the steering wheel straight. And that is...
Yes, because I'm forcing the turn.
You're forcing a turn,
and
there's resistance on the front tires because the car needs to still turn, and you're losing out on acceleration, and this is seconds a lap.
Yes.
So,
you're absolutely right.
That's why, obviously, a fast setup will rotate really well on the brakes, because we want that, but can we handle that? That's a little bit of the issue.
Yes.
Can you... are you allowed that freedom? Can you handle that freedom, right? It's a kind of still understeery for me. So there's even more work to be done. So let's talk a bit more. So there's something else we did not change yet, and that's the traction control.
Green.
Yeah. So
I had to stop watching the screen because it was like, for some reason, it was.
I think
to skip a little bit.
I think, and I'm not really. There's a lot of information out there for onboard TC, power cut, slip angle, but to keep it kind of digestible, I would just change them all together and see them as one unit only for now. Because if you do this now, let's say you do two clicks down on everything, you just get more freedom on power delivery on the rear axle. And that will
spin me out.
Spin you out, but especially with corners and also a little bit of the faster corners, a little bit less interference just might rotate the car as well a little bit better, right? So again, if you're
Yeah, because
like,
you're getting the oversteer then.
you get some power oversteer, but it's controlled. So, but then people have all these philosophies and ideas. Yeah, you need to have 11 on the slip, and you need to do that one lower. And I don't know how much variance you have with 3 different sliders going 12 different combinations. I think you can make this a really nice sauce, but I just tend, for me, to keep it simple for myself, I just tend to stick with the same numbers. And then
Makes sense.
And you can change this during a lap, right? So you could say, just do a little. I didn't really feel the slip angle. I don't really feel the cut. But this one is very dominant, the first number. But then if you do this, then it's also very safe. So it doesn't really make sense to me how this works, to be honest. There's whole...
I saw something. There is documentation somewhere.
Yeah, so the idea...
One of the guys in my Discord shared it out. If I find it, which I know where to find it, I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you've probably seen it, but just in case you haven't, so it explains what each one does.
So the idea onboard TC, this is how it how much this is how much it interferes, and then cut is how long it interferes, and then the slip angle is like when the car is under a slip angle, like when it's a very high number, it doesn't kick in. It kicks in as soon as the car sees some slip angle.
Yes. Causing you, which then slows you down because of your...
Yeah, because you don't have slip angle, and so, but then there are other people say, no, if you have it very low, it will be like that. And then people discuss, again, equal numbers, you'll get different behavior, plenty of different behavior. So,
got the down one.
Let's talk about springs a little bit. So we have what I want you to do first, though, because I'm gonna make it really difficult for you. Okay, so we're gonna go with a stiffer rear anti-roll bar as well. We're gonna stiffen up that rear axle, so we rob the rear axle from some mechanical grip. So I keep the traction control like it is, and just add 3 clicks of that rear anti-roll bar. See how that car feels.
So do I still drop it down one, or just set it back to where it was?
You mean this one? The electronics? Yes. Keep it on 777. Yeah, keep this one the same. Like, do one change at a time so you can feel the change. You know, now if you change traction control and anti-roll bar, then you're gonna be questioning yourself, like, okay, was it the traction control or was it the anti-roll bar? You know what I mean?
And then what are we doing? P3? Yeah, P3. Okay.
Yeah, 3.
We're doing P3, and then...
Okay, also good idea sometimes is to, with the right mouse button, see what is max and what is softest. You know, sometimes this number goes up to like 40. And then you're making, let's say you were on 3 and like, I'm gonna do 5. But that's not gonna be any change if it can go up to 40. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So give me a second. I'm saving right now.
Okay.
And I'm getting back to you. Okay.
So, a good idea. I am throwing a lot at you. Yeah, I'm very aware of this, but
that's why I'm recording, because that way I can go back, rewatch this, and then if I have questions, I can definitely, just take a snippet from here and be like, hey, what did you mean by this? This is what I understand, but it's not, or does it make sense to me? You know what I mean?
So it's always a good idea in any sim, but HCC has it very nicely because it shows a slider. Yeah, you can see, oh, this is so much, like this is a percentage. Also, iRacing doesn't have sliders. It's always a good idea to min max it first to see what can we do, right? Because like what we did right now, we did like from detached to soft to P2 to P3. So we did a pretty significant change. But if this slider goes up to 40, then we actually did not change a whole lot. Then we did like a few % only. Know what I mean?
Gotcha.
That's what I said with sliders being percentage-wise of how much you can adjust. So Go out again.
How did you jump? How did you jump up so quickly? What did you press?
With the right mouse button. The right.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Cool.
if you go to dampers, you can. Oh no, dampers also not really that different. You can use the middle button, you know, the scroll button, to go max immediately. So let's say this right height. With the right, I'm doing plus 10. But with the middle one, I'm doing like an even bigger jump.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's a kind of a...
That's nice to know.
Yeah, that's gonna save you a lot of mouse
clicking.
clicks.
Yes.
So,
yeah. That's what I was looking at.
I was also reading that online and like, no way. That's gonna help me out. Okay, good. Let's see if you can still control that BMW right now. Interesting. So on high speed you got downforce, right? So the rear axle and you might think like, I don't really feel that change, to be honest. It's still pretty stable. Yeah, hug the inside.
Still going too wide, but
yeah, and
we'll figure that out. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Do you feel that rear end now all of a sudden become loose in like a little bit of like a mechanical and an aero grip kind of a situation, right?
Yes.
I think as for your setup skill level, is if you're afraid to go into the corner, you're on a too high of a level. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, what the lap time's gonna be? That I don't know, because I haven't really... I've been pretty slow on this track, trying to understand the physics.
Yeah. No, it doesn't really matter. It's just like set a lap time. That's important.
Oh, gotcha.
Because it doesn't matter which lap time that is then. But
oh, that was flat out.
That was nice. Good. That was good. I think you can be a bit more careful with the... Like when you change the direction. This can be a bit smoother maybe, but...
Yes. I agree. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. You open yourself up for this corner a lot better than before.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is just a very steep trail braking corner. Yeah, and yeah, this...
there we go.
Could take a bit more track like that, yeah. And you can see how this is gonna be faster, yeah? What you did right now.
Yes. I could have got it a power sooner, I felt it, but...
You also need to hug the pull on it a lot more. You really need to be on that wide line as much as possible. I think that's a good like exercise for you in general, that don't worry so much about the exit, but just keep hogging those corners, so at least you get the shortest line on track. That will already improve it for you. And you also have more area to exit out of the corner and like have some understeer on throttle, because you're more on the inside. It's gonna really be... You will gain a lot from that. Oh no, it's invalidated, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I think exactly how it works. Like, yeah, the fast lap, and then it's always like the last turn or something like that. You just make a dumb mistake.
How does the car feel now?
It still feels pretty good. It's just gaining the you know what I mean? Gaining the confidence. I was trying to get on power too soon.
Yeah, you need to. It's about being. It's a lot about being patient. I mean, like a bit slower on that initial apex will just make the car. Yeah, now you missed out a little bit of the Radion corner. It's still a very challenging corner, yeah.
I'm trying to do it smoother. I'm trying to do it smoother instead of forcing You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've seen, like, when I've watched videos where a lot of these guys they're taking El Rouge, and their their inputs are smoother as far as like turning. They're not really forcing the steering wheel,
Yeah.
you know, right to left.
Yeah.
It's like a smooth transition. I'm just like, you guys do that?
Yeah, but it's also doing it a lot of times. So yeah.
Correct. After seeing you do this portion, it made sense, like how you did it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just clicked.
Yeah, and you can do it a bit faster, so you can run a bit more wide, so you can use a little bit more. This is actually really good. Yes. Yes. Yeah, and if you have even more rotation in the setup, then you will just be flying out that no-name corner. More to the inside, more to the inside.
Okay.
Yeah, and also here, yeah, hug that it not on the curb, but on the white line. You're gonna be quicker.
So does the curb slow you down then more?
Well, it unsettles the car, so that's costing you. Also for, like, sometimes I hit that curb. Yeah, this is nice. You can hit a little bit of that gravel. It's no issues.
That was too much. That was too early.
So you want even more rotation from the car?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. Let's go back to the pit and...
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So...
because I feel like I have to, like, really...
You need to
manhandle it to get it to...
Yeah, you need to wait for it, right? So the changes we made, you can still increase those, but now we're going to talk about a little bit about the springs, and then we move to a lower wing. Yeah, for now, because I can talk about all the dampers and stuff, but that's just, I think it's a bit too much for now. First, to also get into that. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that, or what do you think?
I'm fine. I'm open.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So, damn, how do we get out of this?
I'm farther than I was before. That's how I look at it.
Well, we need to move forward, mate, because at some point, like I was thinking about this, like if you're like on your own and you're just doing these changes to maybe some different cars, you will find out, dang, this car really needs some packers, or dang, this car really don't like ride heights. You know, this car does. This car does love the ride height. So, so we have the setup. We still want more rotation. A thing we can look at is the rear springs as well. And I will explain a little bit about springs. So springs, when you soften them up, they create mechanical grip, but to a point. Because soft springs bottom out the suspension really easily. And when that bottoms out, that means it's on the packers, right? So if you have, let's say, a thing that people would say is, okay, I have not enough grip, soften the springs for more grip. That is true when you're driving really slowly or in the rain. In the rain, you would pick a softer setup. But when you're on Eau Rouge and fast corners, you're bottoming out your suspension more quickly. You'll be more on the packers. So you have a car that drops quicker into its suspension. And that is not always ideal. So I usually take like a 30-ish, 40-ish percentage springs overall. Now we had a little bit stiffer springs on the front and a little bit softer on the back. Bring those rear ones up to clicks, so it's gonna be more stiff. And I will show the aerodynamic effect and the mechanical grip effect of the change that you did. And it will, like the changes we did and where we are now at this point, we are in the neighborhood of that level 6 setup now. We're getting there.
Oh, okay.
So the changes we made is just like everything in between, right?
Yes.
So, and I will show with the model again.
So we're just adjusting the rear suspension spring rates. That's it. We're not adjusting the front.
We're not adjusting. In a way, we're having okay. These values are different, but if you look at this box model at the moment, when we have softer springs on the front and stiffer on the back, the aero box has more of a free area to move forward because the rake of the car, when we're braking or cornering, will be more favored to the front with like soft springs on the front, right? So that we get this behavior more easily in this area. The Packers make out for how much that's gonna happen, but the springs will allow how much force is needed to make that shift. So if you have stiffer springs on the rear, then this becomes harder to travel to, right? Now we have equal, so it's equal movement, but the rears were softer, so it was moving easily to the back, more easily. Now it's going to have a harder time to shift backwards.
To get to the back.
And again,
I like that analogy. That works really good.
Yeah, so and the distance is the Packers. So it makes sense if you have very long Packers and short suspension travel, you kind of want to have a spring, and that's what I mean with bottoming out. You kind of don't want to bottom out your springs, because when it's bottoming out, you also lose the grip. And I will explain why that is. When your spring doesn't move, the tire needs to pick up that shock, right? Because the spring can't go anywhere anymore, it's on the end. And when the tire then needs to pick up that shock, it deforms, it presses harder into the tarmac, and there will be like an overload situation, and that is actually reducing the grip. Do you still follow? Do you kind of get a grasp for that?
I can visually see it in my head.
So when I go to this model, I did have another one, did I? I'm not sure anymore. It's a lot of pages, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of information you have to figure out how to articulate.
Yeah, well, I have a very good system for this. I will when this recording is over, I will really want excited for this. So, you got grip and load, right? And these tires, when you're increasing the load, you get more grip, but it kind of flattens out at some point. At some point, you push more load, but you don't get grip in return. So when you have a stiff spring, you're gonna have more tire load, right? But when you have a soft spring, you might have less tire load and you might have more grip. So you might be here. But what happens when you're running out of suspension travel, you go all the way up here all of a sudden. Like very suddenly, because the tire all of a sudden needs to pick up massive amounts of load because the suspension is out of travel and you lose grip. So that's why they say if you have a fast track, you kind of want to have some stiffer springs. And if you have a very slow track or it's raining, you want to be a bit softer as a baseline. So if you have a track like Watkins Glen, for instance, now you have that track. You got quite some faster corners there, so you might want to run a little bit stiffer setup there than, let's say, Hungaroring, which has kind of also a few faster corners, but it's a bit slower track, right? It's like, especially the Sector 2, you got a lot of bends, second, third gear. Then a softer setup would be more beneficial. And if I go here, dang, where was it? Oh yeah, this is a little bit how I see it. Hard, mid, and soft suspension setup. Tire load capacity when you have a stiff springs. From baseline, you're kind of overloading the tires more easily because, like, when you're driving slowly, it's like more like a go-kart, the car. but then and at longer and higher speeds, it's more beneficial before it really starts overloading. Soft setup, however, will be very efficient on slow corners, but then when we increase the speed, they tend to overload very quickly all of a sudden. So it's a little bit how I see soft and hard suspensions. Now, and that's from the spring side is this, but an anti-roll bar and the springs kind of also work together, but I kind of don't know how to, like, if we change
articulate that.
Well, I will tell you this: anti-roll bars don't change this box, and that's the good thing about anti-roll bars.
Actually, but you had a good picture though, with the car where you showed it like tilting, right?
Yeah, it body rolls. So
yes, that's the correct terminology. Body rolling. That would be the only way. Yeah.
So body rolling. But body rolling is kind of also the springs, is also rolling the body of the car, because it's like they go together. But in like, if you want to compare anti-roll bars with springs, let's say you're pitching and you have the aero box moving forward. When you're doing a soft air anti-roll bar, this box does not change. It still wants to go there. It's in the same level. So if you have your ride height set up properly, let's say you can do Eau Rouge and Radiant quickly, and you still have some, let's say you got some oversteer somewhere, you can very nicely tune that out with anti-roll bars. And you still have that nice behavior on Eau Rouge and Radiant. Obviously, you will feel those changes on Eau Rouge and Radiant as well, but it's not that permanent than changing ride heights or something. So you change the rear springs, so you got like
yes,
more springs, stiffer rear springs, so aero box does not move rearward that easily anymore. And I think you're gonna like the setup as it is with the equal springs front and back, so you got more of a neutral car now. I'm thinking about that book to bring some sort of example setups that you can have that book, and then you have a setup that explains a certain page, but that is yeah, that's a little bit of like far into the future.
Yeah. No, but that makes sense though. If you like, hey, we made these changes, this is what the car feels like, and then you just have the setup for that, so they can see what it feels like.
Yeah. The moment when the car kind of wants to step out on you, that is costing lap time.
Yes.
So it feels nice and you can control it, but it is painful for lap time.
Like that, go around wide, it costs you lap time.
Yeah, that also costs lap time. That was just too much speed on mid corner.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That kind of felt like the Porsche oversteer.
Yeah, we'll
the Porsche had.
Yeah.
Because the Porsche has that when you brake, it likes to brake with the it likes to turn with the brakes.
Yeah, it's like a rope on the rear bumper. Like, let's pull you out of this corner. Yeah.
Okay, I've had more confidence there.
Yeah, this is especially important. Like you're driving alone now, but if you're chasing somebody down, right? Would you agree that this Blasimo corner didn't feel that different as before?
No, it really didn't.
Because it's on the bump stops. So you set the ride heights and the packers, and that's like a spring change on high speed isn't really noticeable. But springs, like when they're halfway compressed, you can feel this is the differences, right?
Yes, I can feel it. I can feel like it feels a slight oversteer, but
yeah,
but it's manageable though.
Yeah.
I went over. Of course I did.
I also have to say that after a day or two, like if you did like, I think that after 2 hours, you're never improving again anymore. At least I don't.
No.
There's no improvement. You really need to like, I don't know, watch
You gotta take a
birds
break.
or go to the gym or something, or do something else completely. The videos that we have on the channel right now, there was a situation where you could do low wing on Spa. And I believe with the Austin, it is still possible. But with most cars, you cannot run, or you can run the lowest wing. And like, but you will need to really lift on a lot of corners, and you really are missing that rear pressure. You will feel that every corner. So,
Gotcha.
so let's.
Would that cause a car to oversteer then?
Yeah, there's
Because you don't have that rear wing.
You don't have pressure. That rear end is gone. If you, just do you have the setup? Yeah, right. You have your setup, your baseline.
Yes.
Take it off. Go out. Yeah, take it off. Go out and see what it does.
Okay. Give me a second.
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh yeah.
See, and I think it's interesting that it wanted to turn in even a little bit before it started letting go. So,
but it actually it felt good.
Yeah, but it's like it's too much, right? There's still so much grip now on the front all of a sudden. So I will tell you that, and this is how I think about those setups. Like, and by the way, I don't really know what negative rear wing means. It seems like an airplane now with negative wing, but it's a bit of a way how they explain it. But this low wing you really need on Le Mans and you need on Monza, right? But doing setups on Le Mans is really fucking boring, and it takes ages because you're not really interested in the last sector. That's where it's actually important. And you're also gonna use Spa for this, because if it works on Spa, it's gonna work on Le Mans as well, right? But Spa
I think where your philosophy was, if we can get the car to rotate where we need it to, like flat out El Rouge, I think No Name, C, how you had it marked, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, Puhan and Blanchimont,
and Blanchimont.
Yeah.
That your car technically should be fine on Monza, should be fine on Interlagos, pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah, and it doesn't, and it's not like it's perfect there, but you got a good baseline to make some tweaks.
Yes,
and that's the goal, right? So
yes.
So let's talk about if you got like now we have no wing. Let's say it's gone. We don't have it, right? So all the changes we made
go out the window.
Go out the window. They're gone. So think about when you had the High-downforce 1.1, right? We can load that one up again. And we can just remove the whole rear wing and see if this was a very understeery setup with the high wing, but with the low wing it might be just fine. But we need to understand that this will be a slower car in corners because we simply don't have aerodynamics helping us out in corner behavior, right?
Correct.
So have a look. Now, if you do ride height changes now, like a centimeter, that will be already most likely have way more of an effect than on the high wing setup. So this, like a low wing setup has just a lot less rake. It will be a way flatter car. I have actually, this is where the point where I actually have no clue what your car is going to do. So I'm very curious as well.
We're gonna find out.
It's kind of good, isn't it? It doesn't kill you at least.
Well, I lifted a little bit, but I can control the car though. Before it was like, it just went.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't. It's very understeery.
Yeah, it's very understeery, but at some phase in the corner when aerodynamics starts to play a role, it might not be that much understeery. But it's like low wing setups will be more understeery and more oversteery at the moment. So what is gonna happen if you now make the changes like we did on the high wing? It's gonna be so much more punishing to soften an anti-roll bar, to lower a front spring, because you don't have the pressure of the rear wing helping you out. You can rotate in this fast corner with the low wing. Don't you feel it is just loosely on high speed?
Yes, well, it's still I can still control it though.
Yeah.
But it is, yes. Or the other one, like I had no, like I said, as soon as I lost it, that was it. There was no way I was getting that back.
You see, like, if you had high wing, you could not do the corner like that. Because this is the same setup where we started this session off with, and you're actually doing the blanchiment almost full flat out, right? So you just have this aerodynamic shift without the rear wing, actually being a pretty balanced car on the high speed. Only the thing is with Eau Rouge, it's such a challenging corner for the car that you just don't have the aerodynamics to do this full throttle.
Nope.
But you almost did it, but you can see how loose it is, right? But you don't have the pressure now. But when you bring it to 6th gear now, you got like a few kilometers extra, right? Now, on, like I said before, on this current update, it's not that rewarding anymore. In the previous update, you gained like 10 or 15 kilometers on the straight. So everybody would probably go low wing. Would you still want to have some less understeer in this setup?
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't even rotate.
Yeah, okay. Let's do something. So, do you remember the previous changes? What we did on the other setup? Do you remember that?
Okay. We changed. Okay, so hold on. I don't know why that's going. It's during the weekend and things, so I gotta go pick up my son. An alarm.
Yeah.
Yes, so we. No. It's like his school schedule, and it's summer, so they don't have school. Okay, so yes, we adjusted. What we adjusted was the height.
Ride height.
The front height. Went to the packer. Adjusted the packers. In the rear, lowered the packers in the front. I believe. To 0.
Yeah.
The height was at 5.5. Just went to 0.
So what you can, like, think about it like this: you don't have the rear wing helping you out. You cannot lean on that rear wing anymore. So if you made, let's say you made the changes on the high wing, let's say if we did an anti-roll bar change of a we did P3 in the front, and we stiffen up the rear spring. These changes now are gonna be, I don't know, 5-fold on how it's gonna affect the rotation. So these changes on the high wing they're pretty aggressive, but when on the low wing, these might already be way too aggressive. So I think on the high speed you have a pretty decent balance. It's just the slower corners. So maybe a rear increase of the rear spring and a little bit of that softer front anti-roll bar might just make this a very good low wing baseline all of a sudden. Might already be too aggressive too, but I would change the anti-roll bar also to 3, like the high wing setup. And
so I have the anti-roll bar front to 3.
Yeah.
The rear to 3. So I have both of them set to 3.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be. If I were you, I wanna keep that rear one detached.
Detached. Okay. All right.
Because you're like, you wanna have as much. These wheels, the rear tires, you want to have as much loosely as possible. This will just create most tire contact. The other changes will be, I think this might be too aggressive already. So this front anti-roll bar and the rear springs, I think you're good then.
You said rear springs?
The springs.
Rear springs are on, so what should I put those to?
On 3 as well, like 3 and 3 spring rates.
Okay, so I just need to do the front.
You turn on gloves for driving?
I took off my gloves.
Oh, you took them off.
Because I was typing. I thought I was gonna have to type.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to type with racing gloves.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh.
It's kind of like a little bit scary, isn't it?
I could have did it. No, but I could have did it though. I could have if I would have turned correctly. I would have been able to take it flat out. That was me.
Again, you can say like, okay, I'm also dropping the brake bias if I want to have more rotation in the braking.
Oh, that felt good.
It looks good, yeah. I think that's a good good baseline too. And it's safe, right?
Yes.
Look at that, man. That looks really like a lot of composure. Now you could also, so if you really want that acceleration and you want the rotation, you can then increase the rear packers. You know, that's really a packer corner in a way. Throttle and rotation. But also know that the packers are in our rouge also kind of increasing a bunch of packers will make it also a bit more dangerous in those situations too.
Yeah, but at least it feels good. Before, like I couldn't do anything.
Man, it's already 2 hours, bro.
Oh shoot, yeah. Yeah, it's all right because I'm getting I just got a text from my daughter like, "Hey, you coming here yet?"
Oh, okay. So I wanna like, and like this is like we did spend a lot of time on the high wing because it's it's probably something you're gonna use the most, but this is where what I would do then. Also to figure out to make a fast car setup. So let's say you created a baseline for the high wing and the low wing, and then you're gonna sit in between, right? So you got the wing slider, the rear wing. I believe it is, let's go there real quick and then we'll wrap. Okay.
I'm trying to get myself into the habit of being in leagues.
Yeah, that's a
but
good
it's
habit.
just
Yeah.
hard. It's just hard with work.
Yeah, yeah,
I work 2 jobs, so
yeah.
by the time I by the time I get to done with my second one, it's already like 7 and 8 o'clock at night, and then it's like, okay, I gotta quick hurry up, take shower, and
Then
by the time
race.
I'm
Yeah,
settled in, yeah, by the time I'm settled in, it's like 9 o'clock, and then I have to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's
yeah.
like
So,
we'll figure it out. That's how I look at it.
well, if you're searching a solution, you'll find one. If you're
Yep,
complaining, then you won't. So,
exactly. That's why I said I'll figure it out because I enjoy doing this. So
yeah, and I mean, there's
this is my
no.
passion.
Like lowest and the max. Are you on my screen again?
Yes, I'm
So
watching you.
so this was the max. This was the lowest. So I would go sit
Mhm.
there in between two. Like this is 6 and this is I don't know 5. So you just go like this setting. I would make a setup for this wing setting as well, and then
Okay.
the changes of the car with the springs. That's gonna be like because this is the fun part. If you got like this setup, right? You can compare,
Mhm.
right? And then
Yeah, I like that you can do that with
yeah.
with.
So take I would and to this is to do a little time hack, that
Mhm.
you kind of do a time hack because you did a high wing and a low wing, and you want to take some averages of those and make an educated guess on how a mid wing setup approximately should look like. And let's say the ride height, well, maybe 7, maybe this now can go to 8, and maybe we'll remove the packers. Yes, we'll do the springs like this, and we do that let's keep the anti-roll bar like this. Let's imagine you would drive it like this. You're already getting again close to a good behaving car on the mid wing, which will be the compromise of both.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
then you want to document a little bit and say to yourself, okay, I'm going to drive a few, I'm going to set a lap time, then I'm going to be on my mid-wing setup, I'm going to drive a lap time, and you'll very quickly find that maybe with the mid-wing you're way quicker than on the high wing. And then that gives you a clue that mid-wing with some straights is really complementary to the car. And then you'll
Mhm.
know, right? Then you'll know you're gonna be quick on a mid wing. So if you have tracks like Coda and you have that massive straight, you think to yourself, let's pick that mid baseline, go out there, and make some changes on the springs only to get some balance over there. Maybe the corners require a little bit of a different spring setting only. It doesn't have to change a lot of things to get it under your liking. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to, especially it takes time away from family, right? Thank you for taking the time to spend 2 hours, literally 2 hours with me to mm, helping me understand. And this is going to be very helpful to me now because now I can come back to this video, review some things.
Oh yeah, sure, man. I mean, I actually love doing this a lot. It's just I hope I kind of delivered on what you expected. You know?
Yes, yes.
Do you think that
This,
you can work with this for the coming days, weeks, or?
oh, yeah. So what I was planning on doing is taking this, applying it for like a week or two, and then touching base with you probably like week 3.
Yeah, yeah. Well, feel free to send me a message. If you're like not sure of something, like, or you want to have a reassurance or some change or something, then
Hmm.
also feel free to do that, right? So.
Yeah, and I'll hopefully then I'll be able to send you a lap time this time so you can actually see a
Yeah,
lap
and
time.
and again, and it's also a matter of like these lap times. Like these lap times don't really matter. So you can go a bit slower, more a little bit under the limit, and just make sure you're not cutting the track. And you can have a few lap times. It doesn't really matter what they are, but it's important for you to see the difference between them. Like maybe
Yes.
you'll figure out. Maybe you'll figure out that this mid or low wing is just completely useless, right? And then, and you know what the best thing is? That people later say, yeah, I used the half wing. And then you did all these tests and you're like, yeah, bro, that's not working. That's probably, at least it's not working for me. Right. I will also send you my my complete BMW pack just to get you if you want to. But if you want to learn it, then have a look at those ones as well and see how they shape up. How they are. Okay. They might be different than what we discussed, yeah? They might be different a little bit, but I will send them to you as well. So.
All right. Well, to all your viewers, so I'll leave this out for you. To all your viewers, make sure you check out his packs. Make sure you check out his Discord. Make sure to follow him. He's a great guy. I've been in contact with him for pretty close to a year, and he's helped me every step of the way. Anytime I have questions, he answers them, gets back to me. So, and he's a very busy family guy, just as a lot of us are. I always say support the small guys, support the big guys, but always show support. And Arnout, I will always give you support, man. I've shown you time and time again, and I want you to be successful, and I hope you stay blessed and good things are coming your way, man. You're on the right path.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. It means so much to me. Thanks a lot. So
you're welcome, bud.
So if you also want to get into a session with me, feel free to reach out on Discord or on Patreon, and maybe we can do a session to also help you out with car setups. Thanks for watching.